Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 6 of our F124 Let's Make Lando Norris World Champion Series. If you missed out on the video that went live last week from Mexico, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But today we are here in Brazil, of course, one of the greatest tracks on the Formula 1 calendar here in Sao Paulo. Points are currently on your screen. As you can see, we've got a lot of work to do in these final 4 races. A 66-point deficit to Verstappen after the AI, admittedly, in my personal opinion, they kind of cheated in the Mexican Grand Prix last weekend. Now, that being said, though, 4 Grand Prix, 2 sprints left of the campaign. It is all still to play for. If we can just get to Abu Dhabi still with a mathematical shot at the World Championship, I think we can be quite happy. And obviously, especially after Max Verstappen raised some eyebrows yet again last weekend in Brazil with some of his interesting defensive driving. Hopefully, for us, he might just be a little bit more cautious this time out.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. We're racing then at Interlagos, a historic 2.7 mile circuit and one of the few anti-clockwise tracks on the calendar. 15 corners in total, 9 to the left and 6 to the right, with a technical middle section opening up to a flat out sector 3 that gives us our best passing opportunity down into turn 1. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Norris, Oscar Piastri, Verstappen, Perez, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Ocon, Ricciardo, Tsunoda, Gasly, Stroll, Bottas, Albon, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, Joe, and Logan Sargent. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Well, pretty much nothing between us and the Ferraris at the front of the order come the end of qualifying. Just 3/100ths of a second between your top 3 there. But it is both Ferraris, both McLarens, and both Red Bulls on the grid then. So clearly, Max Verstappen and that Red Bull team just struggling a little bit for pace this weekend. Hopefully we can try and utilise that to best of our ability and get the jump on the pair of them there. But of course, yeah, Charles Leclerc isn't really a threat in the Drivers' World Championship anymore. So yeah, we need to try and just beat him as best as we can as well. There are 5 red lights here on the grid, ready for the Brazilian GP sprint. And it's going to be lights out, and away we go there, and Leclerc doesn't get off to a particularly good start. Verstappen immediately tries to have a look around our outside into turn 1, but we will cover that off as Oscar Piastri makes it 3 wide through turn 1 there. Carlos Sainz, of course, dominated last weekend in Mexico, took pole yet again here, so he's certainly reminding Ferrari why it maybe wasn't the best choice to get rid of him come the end of the year. Luckily, being on the inside through the second part of the Center S worked out nicely for us there. And we are straight up into P2, but of course there isn't much time in this sprint race to get on with stuff, so we cannot afford to let Carlos Sainz break out of the DRS range early on, obviously before it's even enabled in this race. Verstappen there, unable to make any progress though off the start of this one, as you can see Leclerc now dropping behind our teammate Oscar Piastri as well. This often inside this game is actually quite a good track for Piastri as well. For some reason, but it's also a very, very good track for Carlos Sainz as well in this game as we make our way out of Sao there. You can see just over a second back from our former McLaren teammate, but obviously we don't have to worry just yet. DRS here now obviously will be enabled. The detection point is down, I believe. Yeah, there we go, through the Center S. We aren't quite there that time. To admit, I am really enjoying doing the 35% Grand Prix inside this series, but the 35% sprints certainly are a little bit peculiar as we make our way out of Sao. Once again, we're just outside the range. We have got the DRS though. No idea how we've managed that against Carlos Sainz, but that will allow us just to save up a little bit more battery again then over the next couple of laps. There is a 109.5. No bonus point, of course, in the sprint either, so we can try and claim another one out of Max there. But yeah, if Red Bull are only the 3rd fastest car this weekend, that could be really useful. But the problem you often face here in Brazil, of course, especially with the bog standard cars inside F124s. It's actually quite a bad track for battery management. The AI always seem to do very, very well here, but as we get to half distance then, you can see we're still enjoying that DRS advantage off of Sainz here. We're trying to use as little of our battery as we possibly can. I mean, basically, you're preparing yourself for the final run out of that last corner there and just see if we can get past him. So again, this car though feels very, very settled through the S's down the bottom of the hill. It's, yeah, I mean, we're just, obviously, we're claiming the DRS where we can. We're gaining just a little bit of top-end speed over Carlos, but not really trying to force the issue until basically right at the end. Oh no, here comes Oscar Piastri. This is not what we need. And our teammate, of course, meant to be in the number 2 role now within the McLaren organisation, but clearly this weekend, at least in the sprint, he's decided that's not what he wants to do. Of course, all these rumours swirling that Oscar Piastri could be off to Red Bull in the future to partner up alongside Max Verstappen. But yeah, that's not good. I don't want to have to focus on my mirrors here. I just want to try and save up the charge and attack Carlos. Just over 1 lap to go then, and finally we are pretty much got a full charge of battery once again in this car there, as we'll try and put the power down out of the final corner. I mean, we've got very, very good traction. This thing is very, very competitive at a straight line speed here as well. But 1 more lap to go then of the Sao Paulo sprint. And Carlos Sainz now just starts to get the elbows out there. Defensive line through turn 1. We can't quite well find the grip through that first corner. A little bit of a wobble on the exit, the center S, and here will come Oscar Piastri surely. Once again, they're just a splash of battery. Oh no, our teammate again having a look down the inside there. So perhaps McLaren's civil war late on in the race. You can see Oscar there just not able to commit though on the exit the corner there. Has to try and give me room. I mean, Zach Brown will not be happy about this, especially with Lando with a shot of the world title. If Red Bull are going to struggle as much as they appear to be here, and that's really not allowed us to get anywhere near close enough to Carlos Sainz through these S's there. We've just got to try and get the run at the final corner, but has the Spaniard been wise to it? Has he saved up battery of his own through the final corner? We're going to go. We need to get that power down on the exit. We tried this against Verstappen back at Kota a few rounds ago, and look at the straight line speed we've got to the inside of Carlos Sainz. He's going to squeeze us, but up towards the line. It is the sprint win.
Yeah, awesome job. Awesome job.
Well, there we go then. In the end, it is P1 here in Sao Paulo on Saturday afternoon. 8 points in the bag, 4 points taken out of Verstappen. Not a bad start to the weekend there. I mean, yeah, we had to wait behind Sainz for as long as we possibly could, but we just got the run on the exit of the final corner there and snuck to the inside of the Spaniard. It's not always the way I want to race inside this game of kind of having to play that strategy, but sometimes needs must, and we will walk away with the dub. Let's head, though, into the real Grand Prix where the proper points are dished out.
It's time for today's race at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache circuit here in Sao Paulo. And as any of the 80,000 capacity crowd will tell you, this is going to be a fantastic race. Interlagos, always a very special race here in Brazil, is a 2.7 mile circuit with 9 lefts and 6 rights for a total of 15 corners. The fastest lap today should have an average speed of around 135 miles per hour, if of course the weather stays dry until the end of the Grand Prix. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Oscar Piastri completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Sainz, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Russell, Perez, Gasly, Tsunoda, Stroll, Ocon, Ricciardo, Hülkenberg, Bottas, Albon, Joe, Magnussen, and Logan Sargent. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, a little bit disappointed then to find ourselves way down in P5 come the end of real qualifying, but we've got to put that behind us and focus on getting a good job done in the Grand Prix. 25 laps ahead of us today. We're going to try and stretch the soft tyres early on in the stint and then move over to mediums for the second half of this one. Once again, it is Ferrari on pole. This time, though, it's Charles Leclerc. It's 5 red lights. A mighty long hole, but it is going to be lights out and away we go. There are neither Piastri or Carlos Sainz there on the inside, getting a good start. Verstappen, I think he thought about having a look down the inside of Leclerc at turn 1, and suddenly you're top 3 in the championship. Instantly, you're top 3 in the Grand Prix there, as neither our teammates or Carlos Sainz are able to get the start. Down at the Esquina Lago we go, though, on this opening lap. Verstappen, of course, maybe he and Red Bull just hit a little bit of their ultimate pace on Friday afternoon and Saturday morning. Perhaps they figured out something with the car setup ready for the Grand Prix proper. The only tweak I made to our setup was I just took one click out of both the front and the rear wing there. Wanted just a tiny bit more straight line speed around this venue, but of course, yeah, we need to try and attack the Dutchman here today. We took 4 points out of him in the sprint. We need to average, 17 points a weekend. So ideally, he needs to not get a podium here, and us obviously to walk away with the Grand Prix victory once again. It's just been Verstappen and us trading wins throughout the latter stages of this campaign, but still Charles Leclerc there. He would love to try and get another one on the board for Ferrari. As we make our way back down, though, in towards turn 1. This time around, I haven't fallen into the trap of trying to use anywhere near as much of our battery. We did fall into the trap, though, of just trimming the apex through turn 2. Well, let's see then. Is Max Verstappen and Red Bull going to have the straight line speed at the final corner to really hang Charles Leclerc here? Obviously, everybody was locked in that DRS train in the sprint. You can see Verstappen, he is very, very quick. But just rather oddly for Max Verstappen, they're not trying to go for the move down at turn 1, so just biding his time early on in this race. Of course, everybody now knows, it does feel like Mexico, maybe the rules have been changed slightly when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing there as well. Charles Leclerc, though, some things don't change in Formula 1, and that's Leclerc's ability just to make small errors. Very, very lucky that he even saw the flag in Mexico there after that mistake late on in the afternoon. And could those, could that 6-point swing between him and Lando IRL have championship ramifications as well there as we make our way? I mean, it's just nose to tail between your top kind of 6 runners here. Even, I believe, Lewis Hamilton has been able to kind of hang with this front group. But Leclerc for now still hangs on. Oh, here we go this time around. Verstappen this time looks for it. Down in towards someone there. And how many times have we seen drivers go wheel to wheel through turn 1 and turn 2 there? Verstappen, he will get the run around the outside there. We actually make a little bit of contact with Charles Leclerc on the exit of the corner there. So that's going to relegate the Ferrari man down into P3. And now we can try and attack. Oh, there's Oscar Piastri again there. He's feeling brave into turn 4 this weekend. Almost runs into the back of us. That would not be ideal. Just trying to force Verstappen off his line. He does a brilliant job of defending that one there as Oscar Piastri now. Trying to have a look as well. Things are getting a little bit ragged. A little bit too early on in this Grand Prix for my liking. But we do hang on. Well, that Red Bull is definitely not as quick as the Ferrari in a straight line. Able to get right away alongside the Dutchman through turn 1. And he almost completely runs us off the road through turn 2 there. Wanted to try and turn in. We won't allow it to happen there. And now out of the Esquina Lago, we're going to go wheel to wheel with Verstappen surely on the inside line. He's not going to back out of this one. Will he give us any room, though, on the exit of the corner? Kind of. About half a car's width there around the outside. I mean, what is that? Verstappen again. Just trying to move across our nose on the exit of the corner there. We were technically kind of alongside him. And are we just seeing Lando Verstappen reach boiling point once more? Here we go again then. Verstappen this time around. He's going to try and swing defensive back up towards turn 1. I'm not going to try and allow him, though, to move back over through that first corner there. As around the outside will go through turn 1 there. Throw it onto the curbing on the exit of the center S as well. And surely, I mean, he's just going to come straight back past me here, isn't he? Verstappen, which way will he go? He's going to go to our outside line. And Oscar Piastri there trying to have a look in as well. So we're going to be very, very cheeky on the exit of the corner there. Try to give Oscar the ideal line through past the Dutchman as we make our way up in towards turn 4. And Oscar Piastri's only gone and done it. So Oscar Piastri then up into P2. No, he's not. They're still battling it out behind us. Maybe this is our chance to try and break free early on in this race, or maybe get them both out of the DRS as they're still wheel-to-wheel through the rest of the S's. I mean, this circuit just invites wheel-to-wheel racing so regularly, and Verstappen, he won't give up. Oscar Piastri, he's got nothing to lose at this stage, and as we get the power down out of Zhong we are suddenly out of the DRS. Now Charles Leclerc's going for it on Verstappen, so Sainz has gone as well. What on earth is happening to Verstappen then? At this early stage of the Grand Prix, he's back down into P4. And I mean, we've kind of got to go with the Carlos Sainz strap from Mexico last weekend, haven't we? See, Sainz was able to get away from Verstappen when he started battling with all the others, and then kind of just waltzed on home to victory. I mean, if we can do that, then I'm always going to try to. And we've now got a 2-second lead over Leclerc. Oh, we've got yellows, someone... That's Verstappen! Verstappen's breaking down! I cannot believe it. I was thinking, coming into this video, I was looking at the points table and thinking to myself, we ideally need a Verstappen DNF before the end of the year if we want to try and get the points. VSC called as well. And Verstappen, our first retirement of the day. And this suddenly means now we have got a huge opportunity to take big points out of him in the championship with just 3 rounds to go after this one. Max Verstappen as well, I believe, actually, is one of the Alpines has gone. So we lost 2 cars there in that moment. But Max Verstappen is 2nd DNF of the year, coming obviously after the Australian Grand Prix. And we have been given a lifeline. Will I be able to get into the pit lane here and maybe save a little bit of extra time as well? Might just make the switch now over to the mediums to see us through to the checkered flag. Tyre wear hasn't been that bad early on in this GP either, so we'll just try and get the car slowed down, clean and tidy into the pits.
We're going green. Maintain positive delta until the green flags.
Well, VSC will be coming in, but yeah, we will have hopefully gained a few seconds out of that as well.
Come on. Perfect job on the turn in there, mate. Looks like a nice stop time. We're happy with that one.
Well, Logan Sargent picked up a 10-second time penalty, I can only assume, for jumping Verstappen, so decided he was going to retire from the Grand Prix as well. That's quite funny. But as we make our way then back out of the pit lane here, we are out at the rear of the field. We've got 17 laps to go, though, and a fresh set of mediums on the wagon. Well, the only thing I was worried about in this Grand Prix is that maybe we'll get caught up behind a few other cars in the traffic, but I think they were starting to see a few drivers into the pit lane. No, we're not. Ignore me. I thought one of the Ferraris at the front. Looked like they were taking a bit of a rogue line there into the pits, but yeah, I mean, we're taking a good 2.5 a lap at a Magnussen in front. It can't be long before the AI box. I just don't really want to lose time battling with them. Well, all over the back now of Kevin Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu here. Haas, this is not been a good weekend for them. Luckily, the Dane there actually willing to give me quite a lot of room, actually. Surprised we were able to get all the way around him. But I guess we've got to try and make moves then and lose as little time as we can there. As what on earth is Zhou doing? Just trying to swing over a bit more than I was hoping he would. Are we now starting to see AI into the pit lane as we get to half distance? I mean, these mediums are going to be comfortable to the end of the afternoon. Alex Albon peels in as well as a host of others. So we're going to be back up inside the top 10 then. I mean, there's Leclerc already just in the pit lane. So I think, yeah, that undercut, we might be a bit vulnerable in terms of tyres towards the end. But we are going to get a huge lead down the inside then. Oh, Esteban Ocon, he's actually had a pretty decent campaign so far. I'll make sure at the end of the last episode I post up the entire point standings as well, because it has been quite interesting to see some of the differences inside this game and real life. Can we try and make our second move on a Sauber on the exit of that corner? Again, just like Zhou, Bottas gonna weirdly try and defend that one, try and give us the narrowest line he possibly can. So Oscar Piastri into the pit lane. Sure, we're going to see everybody else in as well then, so we are going to return to the top of the standings right now. Max Verstappen, I'm sure, will not be happy about this, but how big is our lead going to be by the time everybody else has made it out of the pit lane now? I think Leclerc He's worked the undercut quite nicely to try and get ahead of most others. And we've got a 10-second lead with just 10 laps to go. I'm kind of hoping, for our championship's sake, these are the most boring final 10 laps of a Grand Prix we ever see. Well, I tell you what, as Sunday drives go inside F124, this one, I think, has been one of my better ones. Just absolutely everything that could have gone our way today has gone our way in the end. And as we start the final lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix, like I said, going into this weekend, I was looking at it. I was going 66 points, 4 races. We're going to need a bit of a miracle. We're going to need Verstappen to either not score somewhere or have a mechanical failure or something. I didn't actually think it would happen, though. I thought we might, get into Qatar with an outside shot and everything like that, but then Verstappen would lock it up before we even make it to Abu Dhabi. But as long as we can bring this home this lap, we are going to slash his 66-point lead down to just 36, and that really does give us a fair shot in those final 3 Grand Prix of the year. Anything can happen in Vegas. Qatar again, there are 2 opportunities, and then of course the season finale in Abu Dhabi. But that being said, though, even like the VSC and just our raw pace, we've barely lost anything to Leclerc in the second half, despite being on about 5-lap older tyres as well. And in similar fashion to Carlos Sainz last weekend at Mexico, as we make our way out of the final corner, Lando Norris back on top once again. That is the full 34 points in the bag.
The wait is over. Lando Norris takes the checkered flag.
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
Our winning drivers are on their way to the podium right now. It's been a fantastic race for McLaren, that's for sure, and no doubt they'll be celebrating tonight.
Well, there we are then. Neither race did we take pole position, but we set the car up for the race. We believed in our strategy and our setup, and we have absolutely dominated in the end. 8 seconds clear of Charles Leclerc come the checkered flag. Oscar Piastri in P3, head of Sainz and both of the Mercedes there, with Perez, Alonso, Gasly and Daniel Ricciardo rounding out your top 10. On the one hand, for Verstappen, very, very unlucky. On the other, it does make the title fight just that bit more interesting with just 3 races to go as well there. Obviously, the points will now be on your screens. Like I've said, we've taken 30 points out of the Dutchman this weekend, so the gap is down to just 36 there. 12 points a weekend is still not easy, but if we can get to Abu Dhabi with less than a 25-point deficit, I'm willing to put the car on the line. I'm willing to risk it. Let's just say that in these final couple of Grand Prix of the campaign as well there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure I leave a like. Get yourself subscribed. Of course, we've got a couple of weekends off now as Formula 1 prepares itself for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, but then 3 races back-to-back right at the end of the campaign as well. It's going to be brilliant. I hope you guys are going to love it. And yeah, we'll be back very soon with more Formula 1 content.